Novak Djokovic has broken his silence on the growing controversy surrounding Alex Eala, and his words are sending ripples across the entire tennis world. The 24-time Grand Slam champion explained that, from his perspective, Eala has conducted herself with remarkable professionalism. She has stayed focused on her performances, competed with maturity far beyond her 20 years, and continued to show up ready to fight under enormous pressure. Yet, according to Djokovic, instead of supporting one of the sport's fastest-rising talents, the system itself appears to be placing unnecessary obstacles in her path. He believes Eala understands better than most how political professional tennis can become behind the scenes, especially when a young player begins attracting global attention and challenging established names on the biggest stages. Despite that pressure, Djokovic praised her for refusing to back down or allow the outside noise to affect her mentality. He specifically highlighted the courage she has shown by standing her ground and remaining confident even while facing criticism, controversy, and what many fans believe is clear bias. Djokovic admitted he has been closely following the entire situation and has tremendous respect for the composure Eala has displayed during such an intense period in her young career. He emphasized that while he is not trying to position himself as the leader of any battle against the organization, he cannot ignore what he sees happening in front of everyone. Djokovic suggested that players deserve protection and fairness, regardless of ranking, nationality, or popularity. He hinted that the sport sometimes fails to treat emerging stars equally. His comments immediately sparked massive discussions online because of how direct and fearless they sounded. Many fans viewed them as a powerful show of support for Eala, especially coming from someone with Djokovic's influence and status in the game. Most importantly, Djokovic made one thing crystal clear. His loyalty lies with the player rather than the institution. He believes athletes who work tirelessly and sacrifice everything to compete at the highest level deserve honesty, respect, and equal treatment. By publicly standing behind Eala, Djokovic has added even more attention to an already explosive situation at the Italian Open. His words could increase pressure on the WTA as fans continue demanding answers about the treatment of one of tennis' most talked-about rising stars. Djokovic also clarified that he has mostly been observing the situation from the sidelines. He has not been directly involved in the private meetings or conversations happening behind closed doors. However, despite not being in those rooms, he made his position unmistakably clear. He will always support the players and continue fighting for a stronger player voice within professional tennis. In Djokovic's view, the current system too often prioritizes protecting organizations and maintaining a polished public image rather than truly standing behind the athletes who make the sport possible. He specifically suggested that the WTA seems far more focused on defending its own reputation than doing what is right for Alex Eala during this controversy. Djokovic also pointed out that this situation did not suddenly begin at the Italian Open. According to him, Eala has been facing this kind of treatment for a long time, long before the recent headlines and public debates exploded across social media. He implied that the young Filipino star has repeatedly had to overcome obstacles, criticism, and pressure that many other players never experienced to the same degree. Throughout those difficult moments, Djokovic has consistently been one of the few high-profile figures willing to publicly support her and defend her when it mattered most. That support has now become even more significant as the controversy surrounding Eala continues to grow on the biggest stages in tennis. When Eala arrived at the Australian Open, the expectations surrounding her were already enormous. Fans, analysts, and even fellow players understood that she was not simply another promising talent trying to break through on tour. She represented something much bigger. She carried the hopes of an entire nation and the belief that a Filipino player could finally compete with the very best in the world. Djokovic acknowledged that immense pressure and made it clear that he believes Eala is already the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced. In his eyes, that statement is not hype or exaggeration. It is simply a reflection of everything she has already accomplished at such a young age. Over the past few years, Eala has shattered records, achieved milestones no Filipino player had ever reached before, and brought unprecedented attention to tennis in the Philippines. She has inspired a new generation of young athletes while proving that players from countries without a long tennis tradition can still compete at the highest level. Djokovic praised her resilience, determination, and fearlessness, especially considering the enormous pressure constantly placed on her shoulders. He believes that instead of receiving resistance from the system, players like Eala should be celebrated and supported because they are helping grow the sport globally and inspiring millions of people around the world. Alex Eala deserves recognition, fair treatment, and every opportunity that any player of her caliber would normally receive without hesitation. Yet, according to Novak Djokovic, that is not what happened at the Italian Open. Despite the history Eala has already made and the barriers she continues to break for Philippine tennis, she was reportedly placed on a smaller and far less prestigious court, a decision that immediately sparked widespread criticism from fans and commentators alike. Djokovic did not ignore the situation or quietly move past it. Instead, he openly acknowledged that the scheduling and court assignment raised legitimate questions and reflected poorly on the tournament organizers and the WTA management. Djokovic explained that Eala's rise has become far bigger than just another promising player making a deep run at a tournament. She represents an entire country that has never seen a tennis star reach these heights before. The Philippines is a massive nation with rapidly growing interest in tennis, and Eala's success has captured the attention of millions of people who are now emotionally invested in every match she plays. That level of excitement and historical significance naturally creates expectations that the player will be treated accordingly on the biggest stages. Djokovic admitted that while scheduling decisions can sometimes be difficult, there is still a strong argument that Eala should have been placed on a bigger court considering her popularity, achievements, and the worldwide attention surrounding her matches. In Djokovic's eyes, Eala is already the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced. And with that status should come a certain level of respect from the sport's governing bodies. He believes the WTA has not fully recognized the magnitude of what she represents, nor treated her with the level of importance she has earned through her performances. While some people may dismiss a court assignment as a small or insignificant detail, many within tennis understand that it can have a major impact on a player's experience, visibility, confidence, and overall atmosphere during a match. Bigger courts bring larger crowds, more media attention, better playing conditions, and a stronger sense that the tournament truly values the athlete's presence. That is why Djokovic's comments resonated so strongly with fans online. To him, this was never just about a court number on a schedule sheet. It was about respect, recognition, and whether rising stars from countries outside the traditional tennis powerhouses are truly being treated equally. He suggested that moments like these send a message, intentionally or not, about how much the organization values certain players. In Eala's case, Djokovic clearly feels the message was disappointing. He even hinted that the lack of proper treatment and support may have contributed to the pressure surrounding her early tournament exit, making the entire controversy even more frustrating for those who believe she deserved much better from the start. According to many supporters of Alex Eala, court assignments are far more important than some people realize. The size of the stadium, the crowd energy, the atmosphere, the lighting, and even the surface conditions can all directly influence how a player performs, especially at a major tournament where every psychological advantage matters. Tennis at the highest level is not played on skill alone. Confidence, momentum, comfort, and mental stability often decide matches between elite competitors. That is why critics argued that placing Eala on a smaller court at the Italian Open was not just a minor scheduling issue, but something that could genuinely affect the experience and pressure surrounding her performance. To many fans, it reflected a larger problem involving how rising stars from non-traditional tennis countries are treated within the sport. What makes the controversy even more frustrating for supporters is that they believe this was not an isolated incident. Those who have closely followed Eala's career argue that similar situations have repeatedly occurred throughout her journey.